Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Goicoechea joins us. He's the director of the Nevada Department of Agriculture, third biggest industry in Nevada. Here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Welcome to the Ahern Boutique Hotel, where luxury and warmth come together in the heart of Las Vegas.
We take pride in offering a one-of-a-kind experience for both locals and tourists.
Join us for handcrafted cocktails and an unforgettable experience.
Joel's Chop House, the perfect place to savor views of the Las Vegas Strip.
Satisfy your cravings at the Ahern Chocolate Shop.
No smoking, no resort fees, and the parking is always free. The Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel is your home away from home.
I'm Mike Swanson, and welcome to the Winnemucca Big R.
Hi, I'm John Walker. Welcome to Big R Lovelock.
Hi, I'm Rich Martin. Welcome to Fallon Big R.
My name is Braden. Welcome to Big R Fernley.
Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome to Big R Sparks.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the heat back on today. Call us today and we'll fix it today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why freeze for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your furnace fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome to the program Goicoechea. He is the director of the Nevada Department of Agriculture. Pleasure to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you, Sam. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Okay, so is agriculture still the number 3 industry in the state?
Yes, it actually is. Agriculture is the number 3 industry, continuing to expand and grow, and that's what we're pretty excited about. Not only traditional agriculture, but we've got a lot of other things going on as far as craft beverages, that value-added piece that we're doing in there. So we're continuing to expand on that aspect as well.
Hadn't thought about craft beverages as an add-on for agriculture, but of course it is.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, and in our traditional agriculture, we've still got our beef cow production and hay and alfalfa, grass hay, those type things. But when it comes to coffee and craft beverages, teas, that's a really big part of what we do here in Nevada. People don't realize that's all in agriculture.
Where are we growing tea?
So we actually are processing that tea into a second value-added product, if you will. So we'll import some of the raw stuff, and then they'll put some of their botanicals in it, for example, some of the flavored teas and things like that we're doing.
Okay, marijuana, does that come under your heading at all?
Marijuana does not come under our heading. And
so you're probably happy about that.
That is one thing we're pretty thankful about. So that value-added gummy is not ours.
Right, so. Okay. But I mean, that's a growth industry at this point. Do you have any indication that somebody's knocking on the door to say, let's move that into agriculture?
No, actually, no. They're not knocking on the door for that. We do regulate the hemp side of that, so anything under 0.03 levels of THC, that comes to our shop, but marijuana itself is not in our shop. We do work with the Cannabis Compliance Board from time to time, so if it's worker safety related or a product that was applied maybe against a label, then they come to us, making sure that that is safe for consumption. And then again, the worker safety. So those that are working in our greenhouses, working in our grows, we want to make sure that the products they're applying to those plants are used right, but that is the only thing that we have to do with marijuana.
For those of us that are old enough to remember the good old days, if they were the good old days, the idea that there was safety toward marijuana is like, wow, really?
Yeah, well, it's a very heavily regulated industry, and some,
as it should be.
As it should be, but some of what we hear along those lines too, Sam, is that it's so heavily regulated that there is still a black market for it,
yes,
and it's cheaper. And so I think a lot of individuals are going that route rather than going the safe route and going to these dispensaries.
Somebody made the comparison for me because I brought the same topic up, and they said, well, if you go to a liquor store, you can buy a bottle of, brand name vodka, or you can buy, an illicit product of rot gut, and maybe that's not what you want to do. So, I mean, I think there's a balance in, the education factor of that. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the number one thing for your industry always is water.
Yes.
So give us an idea, because it seems like for the most part, Western Nevada has gotten a decent amount of water over the last couple of cycles. How's the rest of the state looking?
So over the last couple cycles, a lot of our basins did see some recharge, which was good. We had some good winters. Obviously, that 22 into the spring of 23 was record-setting. We did see some of those aquifers fill up. We had a lot of good runoff. So those that rely on that surface water in the upper basins did really well. Then it was followed by an average winter, so people were pretty happy with that. We had a lot of fuel and feed grow last year, but we did not get the recharge in those groundwater basins that we thought we would probably see last year. Right now, we're off to a slow start. You look at the drought monitor, you look at the SNOTEL, and everybody said, well, we're above average, but they're looking at the Sierra. You don't have to get very far east, and it's pretty bleak. It's been cold, it's been dry and dusty out there. There are a lot of guys very concerned about what the spring and summer are going to bring next year. So we're hopeful. It looks like the door is going to open for some storms again this week. We're going to need some more storms in order to help those guys out there.
How's the Walker River looking?
Walker River actually doesn't look too bad, and I went by the Walker Lake day before yesterday. I guess it was actually last Thursday, not the day before yesterday, going down to Las Vegas and looking at some stuff. So it's actually looking pretty good. They've got some decent flows there. Western Nevada's doing better. Anything on this side. You get out Humboldt, I think we're going to see a dry year on that Humboldt. I don't know what they're going to look like as they get water down in towards Rye Patch. That's definitely a concern. And then you've got all those groundwater basins, Diamond Valley, Antelope Valley, those that are over-appropriated and are already struggling. Those are our concerns.
Okay, Nevada's water situation has always reminded me of the Broadway show and then movie The Producers, where the only way that the show can succeed is if it fails. And then the investors are all gypped out of the money, but the producers get to hang on to the money. The water rights were so over-appropriated in Nevada. And in fact, I think one of my favorite stories is about the Reese River Valley. And, people back east, back in the day, were buying waterfront property. And in a good year, when it's really wet, there might be 4 inches of water.
Yeah, and there was somebody had a scam from what I remember in history as well, that they were going to put a paddle wheel about on the Reese River.
A very small paddle wheel.
Investors that invested in it for the Reese River because that's what they thought rivers were. And every time I cross that on Highway 50, I think about that story, and it's pretty funny. It wouldn't be much of a paddle wheel.
That is hysterical.
Yeah.
Okay, well, just buyer beware, right?
Buyer beware, buyer beware. And a lot of what happened out there, Sam, also is that there were desert land entries, and we were trying to expand the state and grow. And the BLM allowed those desert land entries. Everybody came in. Most of those failed. But in the cases like Eureka, when electricity came in, that's what made those available. That's what made those prosper, if you will. So a lot bigger percentage of those went on. And so I think while everybody was gambling on, 45, 50% of these are all that's going to go, all of a sudden 75, 80% held on because of that cheap cost of electricity that came into Diamond Valley. And so that's what allowed those farmers to keep going and those wells to pump for so long.
How do you feel about interbasin transfers? Are you comfortable with that? Because with the amount of growth we have, especially at this point in Western Nevada, but across the state, the water is not there, so you got to bring it from somewhere. But how do you feel about that?
So and that's obviously and thankfully in Director Settlemeyer's purview when it comes to that water. But on the agriculture side, I'm concerned. I do not like interbasin transfers. I don't like the notion of them necessarily. Because of the impacts we're going to see in that basin where that water is transferred out of. You can go to Eastern Nevada and what we were looking at, Southern Nevada water and those water rights and what those models were showing may or may not happen to Eastern Nevada. That same thing is going to happen if we do large interbasin transfers other places. So you can transfer your ag water rights off, and you can go ahead and pump that to another basin for municipal use. But what happens to those springs, those riparian areas, the wildlife in that ecosystem that relies upon that water now? And somebody that's older and wiser than me, and may or may not be my father, once said that basin was in balance when we put the first straw on the ground. And so from then on, they're not in balance. It's in balance because that water is flowing out, and that water is doing what it needs to do. At the point we put the straw on the ground and start taking it out, we're out of balance, and we're going to see some major ecological differences and things that we can't reverse if we continue to pump water out of some of these basins.
So what does that do for growth?
The growth has to be in the right place, and the growth has to be smart. So we need to figure out how to grow with less water. I think Southern Nevada's demonstrated that with a lot of their drought initiatives and what they've done. We need to follow suit in Northern Nevada and Western Nevada as well. We need to be smarter with the limited amount of water that we have. DRI is a great partner in what does that cloud seeding look like? How do we do more with less? And that's kind of Nevada's always done more with less, but we've got to do more of that with our water right now going forward.
Yes, it's always fascinating to watch all these different things as they move forward. Let's take a break and come back, get a little bit more about water and then other things, okay? Yeah. All right, we'll be right back after this timeout. As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Story County is leading Nevada. Home of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, Google, Tesla, Panasonic, and other world-leading companies. Story County provides thousands of tech, advanced manufacturing, and logistics careers for Nevadans. We're diversifying and driving Nevada's economy and generating millions in tax revenue and billions in economic activity across northern Nevada. Story County is leading Nevada's future.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Goicoechea. He is the director of the Nevada Department of Agriculture. One thing that I found fascinating, as part of the original plan for the Southern Nevada Water Authority to move water from eastern Nevada down to southern Nevada, which is now
off the table.
In yep. quotes, off the table, but they still own the ranches.
Yes, they do.
And the thing that I find fascinating about that, and I'm a big fan of the Southern Nevada Water Authority, is that they're doing best practices with their ranching.
They are. So, and I would got to give a tip of the hat to Marilyn Kirkpatrick down there, big leader in Southern Nevada, obviously very involved in Southern Nevada Water Authority. And we had some very candid conversations over the last couple of decades about what is that going to look like in those ranches. We're all fierce advocates of rural Nevada and that ranching, and they are doing the right thing out there for a lot of the ecology, and we've got to champion that for them. They're able to do it on a scale that a lot of the smaller guys aren't, again, because of their structure, Sam, and that's something we have to keep in mind. They're a pseudo-government agency, if you will, and they can probably do things a little differently and have a little more revenue stream than a lot of our partners do. But sure. They are demonstrating that it can be done. And they are actually trying to participate in a native seed program that we have trying to help grow out at the Department of Ag, trying to grow out some native seeds that are more adapted to this environment so we can use them in rehabilitation after fires. So they're a good partner in that as well.
One of the other things I loved about it, and this is probably going back a few years now, but I'm sure continuing, which is that they were helping local ranchers to have better practices themselves.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing. All right, let's talk about the economic outlook of Nevada food and agriculture, because as we both said earlier, most people don't know about how big we are in the Silver State in this.
Yeah, so agriculture continues to expand in the state of Nevada, obviously, and that's not just our traditional, but that is, again, what we talked about earlier, our craft beverage, that value-added thing we're doing to it. Our lavender, our specialty crops are continuing to take off. But the one thing that is of concern to me, for the first time ever in history, the last 2 years, the nation saw a deficit when it came to agricultural trade and exports. We've never had that in agriculture ever in the history of this nation.
So we're exporting more than we are
importing more than we are exporting. We are at a deficit for the first time in agriculture in the nation. That is concerning to me. We're hearing a lot of talks about tariffs and that kind of thing right now. Agriculture as a nation is in trouble that way. So while we're continuing to expand, we've got good calf prices, lamb prices weren't that great, hay prices are in the tank, but overall agriculture needs a farm bill, and we've got to get some of these trade barriers figured out because agriculture in the nation is in great trouble.
As President Trump campaigned, did he bring up agriculture in the farm states?
He absolutely did, and I think you can look at a map of what President Trump carried and President-elect Trump now, and he carried those farm states. He carried rural America, and it was again on that, and I think he's listening. He knows what he has to do tariff-wise for our neighbors and for these other countries and to get trade in balance, but he's also listening and he doesn't want to harm agriculture. And I think as someone that's providing documents during a transition to this incoming administration, we've been very clear that we are concerned about that and some things we want to see him help us with in agriculture. And I do believe he is going to be listening to us.
Okay, where is the deficit? What are we importing more of that we should have been growing here?
So it's not, you can't look at it product for product. So what are we exporting? So we see Brazil on the world market exporting a lot of soybeans, exporting a lot of corn. So when China's going to South America and buying those products, they're not buying them from us. We obviously have some conflict with Russia, for example. Russia was a big trade partner in a lot of the things we're doing. So with the strife in the Ukraine, are they getting their products from somewhere else and they're not getting them from us? Absolutely. And then what is the value of those? How much are they paying us for that? So we look at the dollar amount, and we're not bringing in the dollars for our exports that we're importing. We import a lot of raw product, and we do import a lot of lean protein from other places in the world.
For example, so
lean cows, for example. We have done a really good job in this country of being very efficient in producing high quality beef, but it's fat. And when you go to McDonald's and you buy that quarter pounder, you know what that's going to taste like, and they have that recipe. We are not providing enough lean ground for the McDonald's to get that recipe right for that ground beef. They have to import a lot of lean beef in order to make that happen. And that tends to come from South America and Central America in large frozen quantities to grind into our high quality product.
That's kind of stunning to hear that revelation. When you talk about ranching, it seems like there's two distinct things. There's the family farms, the family ranches, a lot of which we have here in Nevada, and then the corporate side. How do you look at that?
So it's interesting when you look at the ag statistics, and we just released our economic analysis, as you know, at the Governor's Conference on Ag. The age of Nevada farmers and ranchers actually decreased slightly.
Really?
Versus the national average. It's still in the low to mid 50s, but it did decrease. The number of farms went down and the size went up. So we are seeing that consolidation in Nevada as well. So you're right. Traditionally, Nevada's been family ranches, family operations. We're seeing more of that consolidation. They don't have a grandson or a son or a daughter or a granddaughter that wants to come back to that operation. So a neighbor acquires that. or maybe we do have a corporation that acquires that. There's a lot of mitigation practices that are occurring in the state of Nevada as well, and it's those farm and ranch lands that are the highest value habitat that we have. And these companies know that, and so by buying those ranches and consolidating them, they have a bigger tool when it comes to mitigating maybe the impacts they're having to put a renewable project in or a mining project. So I am concerned that we're seeing the shrinking of the family operation on ranches where in a community where you used to have 5 family ranches that went and supported the grocery store, you now have one big ranch. And it's operated by 2 or 3 individuals, maybe not necessarily those families. So we see our parts stores suffer, our schools suffer, and our grocery stores suffer, again, as consolidation of agriculture happens in rural Nevada.
And lands bills. I mean, we desperately need lands bills.
Yes, we do.
What are your thoughts on where we are? Because it just seems, as I talk to our congressional delegation, there's optimism, but at the same time, there is reality. And the first reality is, tell us exactly what you want so that we can go back to Congress and tell them what we want.
Right, and that's just it. What exactly do we want? So you're right, we need lands bills. We need to grow, as we mentioned earlier, the right place at the right time. So where can we see that affordable housing? Where can we see some expansion where it makes sense to put those homes, to put those businesses? And so that's part of that lands bill when you're landlocked by federal government. The other side is there's a lot of conservation desires out there. And so as the ranching industry and the conservationists, we need to come together and figure out, okay, we can't have a complete hands-off conservation approach that we see in some of these lands bills, because that's not conservation, that's hands-off. And we're not there as a state. In order to do true, meaningful conservation, we need those ranchers and those farmers on the ground. Public land ranching is a prime example of that. We can do great things for that habitat and for that ecosystem, but if in a lands bill it's wilderness, it's hands-off, you can't do anything to it, we go backwards. And so we've got to come together so we can tell our delegation, we're supportive of this. We do not necessarily want to see a large state park. We don't necessarily want to see a national park. We don't want to see wildlife wilderness or wildlife refuge. Let's work together and figure out what that looks like going forward for the next 25 years.
Do you find that there are many more reasonable conservation folk than unreasonable conservation folk? And you can find whatever way you'd like to answer that without getting yourself into trouble. I'm the one that said it.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, conservation individuals are very passionate, just like others are, whether it's the mining industry or the agricultural industry, and they are. It's coming to the table and having that conversation. And oftentimes we don't do a very good job of doing that. I do think in the last 25 years, agriculture has done a tremendous job in showing what exact our benefits are. We're no longer legacy grazing. We're not legacy farming. NRCS and the practices that they put forward, we're not losing our topsoil to wind and erosion. We do things different, a lot of no-till in a lot of places, even here in Nevada. When it comes to that legacy grazing, it's not put as many cows and sheep out there as you can and reap that land and rape that land. It's actually do it right, time grazing, adaptive management, moving them around. We said 2 years ago we had a great winter out there. That grazing pattern looked different than it's going to look in April and May of this upcoming year. Producers know that now, and they're working with our conservation community on how to make that habitat work and how to make it work for the cows and the sheep.
More on that coming up after this timeout.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year. and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with JJ Goicoechea. He is the director of the Nevada Department of Agriculture. Are there many ranches left in southern Nevada?
So there's not a lot of ranches left in southern Nevada. Lincoln County has a few. Nye County itself, again, with a lot of the practices that went on down there, desert tortoise, some of our lands bills in the past, there's not a lot of public land grazing left down there. But you don't have to get very far north. You get into Nye and Lincoln counties, and from there north, there's still a lot of ranches and a lot of those families that are doing what they've done for multiple generations.
And everybody should subscribe to Range Magazine so they can find out all about it.
There you go.
Listen, thank you so much for coming in. Will you come back during the legislative session and update us on what's going on?
Look forward to that. I think we're going to see some very good bills out there, and we look forward to moving agriculture ahead in the next biennium.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Sam.
We'll be right back after this timeout.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
We wouldn't steer you wrong with the gold standard of steaks at Joel's Chop House. Indulge in dry-aged steaks, seafood, Wagyu tomahawks, located on the second floor, and great views of the Strip.
Here on 7 at 7, we're bringing you the local headlines in just 7 minutes.
We've got you covered in the morning, evening, and for all breaking news, in between, and as it happens.
Life is busy, and we don't waste your time. Join us for local news now streaming on our YouTube page.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you on the next broadcast.